East versus West 13 finally completed this weekend. Man, what an absolute turn of events. To be honest, this might be, in my opinion, the best East versus West that we've had this far. And there's so many crazy matches, and we're going to dive right into it. So the first match I want to discuss with you guys will be Carolina Pedersen versus Olga Terpilova. Now, I mean, Pedersen, what can you say, man? I don't know what's up in Sweden. I don't know if it's not just from Georgia, but it seems like Sweden too is coming out with a bunch of killer arm wrestlers, especially in the female division. Looking back on this match, even though that Carolina dominated, it was still a war. It seemed like every time these girls grip up, I mean, first of all, they're slipping. They have to go immediately to the strap. And then once they go to the strap, I mean, at this point, it seems like Carolina, as soon as she gets in that grip and it's a nice squeeze down, low hand top roll. I mean, what can you say? And previous to this match happening, you could even hear people in the commentary saying, and it's true, every time Carolina gets into a match, it's a war, it's a dogfight. And this one was no different. I mean, some of these matches that she had here, even though, yes, she clearly won, even though it was pure domination by Pedersen, Terpilova gave an absolute crazy fight. And you can just see, I'm watching the footage as we speak, even Pedersen will lose her hand in the strap, but her side pressure, her pronation with some back pressure, she ends up in this like position like this, where she's just relying on some back, a little bit of side. Wild. To see Terpilova put up this fight, and yet Carolina looking so composed. I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm also not surprised. Pedersen, what an absolute stud. I don't know what's going on with the whole females, with the female arm wrestling, but it's on the uprise so much, and it's so much fun to watch. I mean, this was one of the best matches of the night. And when you see a match like this, best of five go, I mean, you're going 3 rounds, but the 3 long rounds. Slip to the strap, then you're in there for like 2 minutes. Slip to the strap, then you're in for 3 minutes. And Carolina looks so composed. She looks so relaxed. She's sitting there holding on, waiting for just that perfect opportunity to strike with crazy amount of side pressure. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, props to Terpilova for taking the fight, but it seems like as of right now, Carolina is just, she's much more ahead. And Terpilova is giving a lot of press and side pressure, taking a little bit of the hand of Pedersen at the beginning, and then eventually Pedersen taking over the hand. But yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, obviously, Pedersen takes it 3-0, and what a wild, wild match. The second match that I want to get to that was technically the first match of the night was Ardam Taranenko versus Tom's Rosit. Also, I'm a little bit sick. I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice. My nose is stuffed. My throat is extremely dry. And I feel like just because I'm visiting another country, of course this has to happen. So if I sneeze, cough, or anything, I do apologize. However, we're still going to get through this. So I'll try to give you guys some enthusiasm. I'll try to be upbeat about it, but I do apologize if I kind of look extremely off or a little bit. Anyways, let's get to the match. So Tom's Rosit versus Ardam Taranenko. There's not really much to say about this. I'm a little bit biased towards Ardam because I've met the guy before. I've arm wrestled the guy before. Extremely strong. I mean, internet famous, YouTube well known. Extremely strong puller from Florida. But then you have this guy by the name of Tom's Rosit, who's an absolute beast. So these guys competed left arm, and if I'm going to sneeze here, I do apologize. So these guys competed left arm. Frankly, it wasn't close. Tom's Rosit, guys, is an absolute beast. This guy literally just grips up. It's almost like a Travis Bajan style. He grips up, squeezes, and then it's pretty much straight side pressure. He had hand control. He essentially toyed with his food with Ardam here. And even though I wanted Ardam to win, I mean, Tom's, Rosit's dude is an absolute animal. Like I said, I don't really have much to say about this one. You guys could see the footage for yourself, but it wasn't close. And even though Ardam is extremely, extremely gifted left hand, very strong, he trains it. I mean, he's good both hands. Left hand dominant. Tom's made him look like there's a lot of work to do. So extremely interesting to see. Yeah, wild stuff. Zurab versus Petro Marant. So Zurab, for those who don't know, or for those who do know, ripped a bicep off of someone by the name of Porkchop not too long ago. Porkchop is a Canadian arm wrestler from Ontario, Canada, who, if you've heard the name before, which I would assume a lot of you have, you've seen him at East versus West. He's one of our national champions here in Canada. The guy is legit the real deal. Oh my God, he's an absolute savage. And Zurab, smoked him in the past. Well, Zurab versus Petro Marant coming up. I had Zurab possibly winning this one just based off that match alone. However, Zurab too is coming off a bicep injury, so I was very curious to see what was going to happen here. Man, was I wrong. Petro literally ran over Zurab. Like, Zurab wasn't even in the same weight class. Like, he was several weight categories below him. And the crazy thing is he essentially toyed with him. He pretty much comes up. Sorry for my nose. Pretty much comes up, gets a good squeeze, and then literally cups in, and he just drags Zurab and pins him 3-0. Like, and it wasn't difficult. It wasn't like Zurab was in a hook and they were fighting for about a minute, and then finally Petro came up with a win. No, this is literally what it looked like. That's it. I don't know about you guys, but that's wild. So Petro Marant wins by hook or defensive top roll, whatever you want to call it. Same thing. But the amount of pressure this guy put on Zurab is absolutely wild. You can just see when he squeezed that hand in and he comes in for the hook, the down pressure off the bottom of his hand, and that muscle is so big. And he just looks at him and pins him down, like as if they're practice pulling, like they're warming up. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to see. I didn't see it going this easy for Petro, but apparently this guy is just a different animal. So the next match, we have Adam Warzinski against Vladimir Myov. And spoiler alert, Myov dominates 3-0. Now, something very interesting happened in this matchup, and I quickly want to mention it because I think it's kind of weird, but I don't know if this is just me thinking this or you guys might have the same take. But at some point in the matchup, I believe it was in the third or fourth round, let's say third round, Warzinski is in this back pressure motion on the pad, and the pad actually lifts up, like the two pegs come out. And so Myov gets the pin, and then there's this controversy about the pad actually coming up. First of all, if the pad comes up, I think it should be immediately called off, like instantly. As soon as you see those pegs rise, if it's significant to at a minimum amount, like just something that comes up, stop the match. But the fact that Myov went to pin, and then the buddy says, "Hey, my pad was up." It's kind of weird. I also think it was somewhat done on purpose. Now you can't literally like push the pad down, and now you can't just push the pad down and then you're just hoping that the pad actually comes up. But the way that match was, like that forearm was far on that pad. I don't know. To see that pad come up like that, I would have to assume, at least from my standpoint, Adam Warzinski did it on purpose. How difficult is it to actually do? I don't know. But based off him losing and trying to do everything he could to get a win, I feel like maybe that was a way for him to actually try to reset up. But, I mean, he lost. He lost pretty bad. And Myarov's hook, man, it's ridiculous. I mean, he gets in that hand deep, he cups in, and he just drags, and what can you do? But yeah, wild stuff. Yeah. The next one, we have Chance Shaw, the prodigy, against the former AWC champion in Ibragim Sagov. Now, coming into this matchup, I think you and I, or most of us, are big fans of Chance. I always feel like saying Chance is just, yeah. I think we all are a big fan of Chance, and to see how high this guy has come so far in his career, how strong he truly is, it's something to be reckoned with. And coming into this match, I knew Sagov was extremely strong. I mean, he's Russian, 115 kilo Russian arm wrestler, to me, is a problem. It's a big problem in a respectfully good way. But what we saw in the first match, that is fucking insane. To see this in a practice, to see this, like Devin Larratt has done this many times to opponents, but to see this in a full-blown East versus West tournament is absolutely mind-boggling. And as Chance and Sagov line up, they lock in their hands and the match starts. Sagov literally dad moves Chance. Literally dad moves him, grabs him way down below the thumb. His hand is essentially on the wrist. And not only wins the match, he literally destroys Chance. On a dad move, live television. Now at this point, I'm like, oh, this is insane. Like, this guy has pure strength. Like, this is crazy. You have a guy down below and you drag him across. I mean, from a physics standpoint, it's a lot more difficult because your hand is more open because of your wrist and the hand, as opposed to your hands more squeezed in. So, the second match starts. And then he literally just presses Chance. He comes in, drives, and he literally pushes Chance's hand down. And at this point, I'm like, what the fuck? This is wild. And then it gets, in my opinion, it gets a little bit crazier. And this is where I have a problem. And I've mentioned this in the past, and this bothers me. It honestly pisses me off. The third round, Chance is obviously down. I mean, he just got dad moved. He got murdered, essentially, in the first round. And then Sagov comes back in the second, and not only just doesn't dad move, he decides, I'm going to press him. And not even like a full-on press in, not full commitment, literally comes in and pushes Chance's arm to the pad. The third match, of course, Sagov is winning. The same thing as before. Literally, not dad moving, but a little bit more of like a hook top roll-ish. And Chance deliberately lifts his elbow, like full-on blown, like, come on, dude. Like, honestly, and this is my opinion, if anybody does that in a match, like, there needs to be a rule on if you deliberately lift your elbow, the match is done, you lose. You literally lose. If it looks like you have enough evidence to prove that you fully removed your elbow just to restart a match, then you lost the match. Keep your freaking elbow on the pad. If you're at least going to take your elbow off, at least slide forward or slide back a little bit. Don't literally do this because you know you're going to get a restart. That's not right. And he wasn't even close to winning against Sagov. Like, Chance was getting annihilated. And this is a problem to me because if you're winning a match, it's an insult to, oh, I'm just going to do what I feel like because I know I'm going to get a restart just by cheating. I don't know. if you guys can prove me wrong, I'd love to hear about it. But in my opinion, as soon as you lift deliberately and it's seen, your elbow comes off that pad, you fucking lose, dude. And that's just like, if you're gonna take your elbow off, at least have it slide off the pad. Don't look and then do this like you're pissed off. Like that's like 12-year-old. That's a 12-year-old fucking. Yeah, it honestly pisses me off, and I apologize for the cursing, the cussing, the swearing, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, Chance comes into this match. He's trying to do his low hand top roll, and he couldn't access it. Sagov's hand, when he goes to scoop in and gives that deep cup, and then he just drags him. I mean, that was one of the easiest wins I've seen throughout this whole tournament. Next match, arguably could be, I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but could have been one of the more exciting matches of the whole tournament. And this is Ayan Takanaka, the Japanese competitor, versus Dmitrina Petrova. Now, let's dive into this one because this is pretty wild as well. If you are a fan of big competitive matches or turnarounds, I mean, this is one you would want to watch. This could possibly be match of the night. So, Ayan Takanaka is the first Japanese competitor to ever compete in the sport of arm wrestling. She's literally the first. 60-kilogram stud. Comes in looking like she's ready to maul. Like something is up. Like she's ready to annihilate. And then you have Dmitrina Petrova, just an absolute killer. Well, you have Takanaka, who's coming into deep hook drag versus Petrova's top roll. Straightforward, right? Oh my God, I apologize, I'm sick. My throat hurts just talking about it. I also do have notes in front of me, so I apologize if maybe I'm not looking always at the camera. I'm reading off some notes that I've taken down. But getting back to it. So, Takanaka, side pressure and deep hook. Wow. I mean, right off the go, I thought this match was essentially like this whole match was going to be completely done after the first match with Takanaka. I mean, she comes in supinate and just drags Petrova's hand to the pad, and I'm like, sheesh, that's crazy, because it wasn't even competitive. And then does it again, 2-2. The side pressure on this girl is just wild. I mean, there are people saying, I haven't seen footage, but I believe it obviously, but there are people saying, and you could probably find this on YouTube as well, that she's doing legit one-arm pull-ups, like for reps. As a female competitor, I mean, I don't even see males doing this. I mean, I do, but it's not very common. It's very difficult to do, and this girl is doing it like it's not like it's a chore. Well, then we come to the turning point of this matchup, and the match starts. They're both lining up like they previously were, and Petrova, she's like trying to figure this out. She's like, what the fuck? So anyways, the match starts and Petrova comes up high. I'll try to demonstrate here. She comes up high, and when the match starts, instead of her just trying to hook in like this, she literally pushes forward. And as she pushes forward, she gives him that supination here. And just that pushing forward hook, this movement right here, turn the whole match around. And it's literally because instead of her trying to catch and then drag, she literally pushes in and then commits her full shoulder as she's pushing down on her hand, scooping in, and then just drags Takanaka to the table, like instantly. And now we're like, geez Louise, we have hope in this matchup. Like now we have a freaking match. And that's all it was, just leaning forward, scoop, drag. And she comes back after one win, 2 wins. And then these girls get in an absolute war going back and forth. And eventually, Petrova just wins 4-2. And this, honestly, it's just the better arm wrestler. It's not strictly for strength. Petrova has more experience. She's much more knowledgeable. Not as strong, as proven here. I mean, she can't just easily drag her opponent across, but Takanaka can. So in this matchup, it was extremely interesting because we saw experience versus strength. And even though strength took over early, experience played a bigger role in the end. Next match, we have Ardam Tanov against Kili Onani. And what an absolute savage Onani is. You can tell that Onani trains with these Georgians. I mean, the guy's Georgian, but the guy's an absolute animal. This guy dominated from every position. Hook, top roll, and made it look fairly easy. There was a point in this matchup where Tanov literally had, and this was after he was already, that Onani was already winning. This was after. So during this matchup, at one point, Kili Onani was actually winning. I think it was 2-0. Tanov comes in with a low hand top roll. Onani is in this defensive side pressure position, and his hand is literally scooped in. His hand is scooped in, and then he's in a very defensive position, and he just literally pronates, not back pressure pronate, literally just from full blown power pronates through Tanov's wrist, and then comes in top roll after being in a defensive side pressure hook position, kind of, and there was at a point too where he's essentially leaning on his bicep like this. So to come in, scoop, pronate, and then turn around, what an absolute wild transition. I have never seen a transition like that. I've never seen it in practice. I've never seen it on television. I've never seen it in East versus West. So to see this live in real person, absolutely wild. And this goes to show you the strength and caliber of some of these guys. But Kili Onani, come on, dude, what an absolute killer. A fun match to watch, but I think the Tides were favored in his side after the first win. I mean, it was pretty self-explanatory. Next match is another females matchup, and honestly, we might have the next Levon Saganashvili, but in the women's division, which is extremely scary and extremely exciting. We have Barova Bachkovia versus Egle Vidcute, and this match was not even on the same planet. Barova, who is current world champion, dominated this other chick with a low hand top roll. And it wasn't like a little bit of pressure or drag. It was essentially what Levon does to everyone. It's the exact same positioning, comes in and just low hands. And that was it. Extremely high side pressure, extremely good low hand top roll. And it wasn't even competitive. In fact, in the fourth round, after Barova was winning dominantly, her opponent just kept elbow fouling. I mean, there's nothing to even say about this matchup except that I'm extremely impressed, excited to see this moving forward. But she is legitimately the female version of Levon Saganashvili. Coming in towards some of the final matches here, we have Daniel Prokop. Let's try this again. I'm going to scrap it, so I'm going to try one more time. Daniel Prokopkiuk, which is a national champion. Well, he's a national champion from Moldova against the Bazadar Semyonov, Bulgarian guy. Well, the Moldavian champ dominated 4-0, and all he did was hook drag. I mean, what more can you say? Literally driving forward, down pressure, drive across. There's nothing to say. Yeah. Then we get to the Todd Hutchins versus Krasimir Kozadinov. And I did this prediction a while back. I had a East versus West 13s predictions video. And I had predicted Todd Hutchins to win convincingly against Krasimir Kozadinov. I even said it would be a 3-1 or a 4-0 victory. And boy, was I right. We had, man, I am so sorry. This is disgusting. Just keep going here. I apologize. Todd Hutchins and Krasimir Kozadinov. Todd wins 4-0. I think at this point, we can clearly see who Todd Hutchins is. Not that we don't know who he is. But man, his side pressure, and not only his side pressure, his hook is so good. And you can tell with Todd Hutchins that when he comes in for his hook, his lower hand is so strong that when he's dragging, he's also pushing down like a side pressure push, which is essentially eliminating all the pressure, well, all the power that Kozlinov can use in his wrist, because he's driving down with all that side pressure. I wish I could say more about this matchup, but there clearly isn't really much to talk about besides Todd Hutchins dominating Krasimir. There was a point in the matchup where Krasimir tried a top roll, and it seemed to work. But then he fouled himself and then went right back to hook. And, I mean, Todd Hutchins, side pressure. King dominated 4-0. There really isn't, I apologize, but there really isn't much more for me to say. And then we have Irakli Zirkshvili versus Evgeny Prudnik at the 105 kilogram class. And like I predicted previously, I had Irakli winning this convincingly. I was right. Again, I'm right at everything, as you guys can tell. I'm joking. Irakli Zirkshvili dominates by a low-hand top roll in the strap. Surprise. Well, I mean, he trains with Levon. I'm telling you, these Georgians are on different levels. Evgeny Prudnik, too, he came into this matchup extremely confident. I mean, Prudnik was saying he was the strongest he's ever been. He's extremely healthy. He was telling Devin this. But how is someone going to beat the bicep power of Irakli? And how is someone going to defeat his pronation? He has everything you would need in someone who's going to hook or top roll, especially top roll. I would love to say more about it, but Irakli wins, and Irakli called out Devin. So do we see Devin and Irakli go next? I mean, it'd be wild. Next matchup, we have Travis Bejan versus Sergey Kalinachenko. Right hand, Kalinachenko, the Ukrainian powerhouse. I had Travis winning this from a bias perspective, and I got humbled pretty bad on this. Travis got murdered. Let's just get to it. Travis got murdered. I know this isn't left hand, and Travis is in the midst of making a comeback, but this doesn't look good for him. The match wasn't close. Hand control, Kalinachenko. Horsepower, Kalinachenko. Hook, Kalinachenko. I mean, he added everything. And Travis at the beginning, too, was being so cocky, like he always is. And hey, look, I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. In fact, I think he's one of the true shit talkers in arm wrestling that is just good at, is really good at it. Not as extremely fake, but is just good at it. And Kalinachenko, because it was a big goal, Travis was an idol of his. It was a big deal to face him, and then to beat him. But Travis, man, it's fun watching you, but to see this happen, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen on the right hand. Let's try left, see what happens. But as of now, I mean, Kalinachenko just, he walked right over him. David Dadikan versus Oleg Petrenko. Wow. I had Petrenko winning this fairly convincingly in a previous, my predictions video. I was right. However, at the beginning of the matchup, it looked fairly close, Dadikan and Petrenko. So Petrenko almost loses his first match with a low hand top roll. And at this point, I'm like, okay, Dadikan might actually take this. But after that match had happened, Petrenko just took over in the horsepower. I mean, Petrenko's a beast, man. And Dadikan is no joke as well. But, I mean, at this point, Petrenko has only been doing better and better and better, and he's only been getting stronger. So it's extremely exciting to see. We'll see who Petrenko faces in the future, but as of now, man, how can you not deny this guy is an absolute beast. Second final match of the night, we have David Samushia versus Sasha Andreev, and honestly, Samushia, he might be the GOAT of East versus West ever. 9-fight winning streak, and they're all title defenses. That's the craziest part. You know, it's one thing to win a title far into your career and then hold it a couple times, or to be chasing a title, but when you have a title, it's a lot more difficult because everybody wants you. When you're already at the top, you don't get the same drive. Well, most people don't. You don't get the same drive as when you're chasing. When you're up here, there's no one to beat except for yourself. But to see him win, wow. I mean, he comes back and wins 4-2 for a 9th title defense. And, crazy stuff, man. And Andreev was coming in with essentially a hook drag, was up 2-0. And then Samushia returns with a higher hook with a little bit more leverage and took over. I mean, comes back 4-2. He might be the GOAT of East versus West. And on to the final matchup. We have Lalatin versus Morozov. Extremely highly anticipated. When I hear the name Lalatin, I get extremely, I don't want to say it, that's going to sound wrong. I'm stoked. I'm always stoked to hear his name, especially for an upcoming matchup, and especially going up against Morozov. I knew this was going to be arguably, besides Levon, his hardest match yet. It was not close. Lalatin, as of right now, he's just on a completely different level. And I feel like if there's one person as of right now who could beat Levon, Lalatin and or Krdechuk could possibly be the guys, favoring Lalatin a little bit more. People were saying in this matchup that it could be extremely close. If Morozov gets a cup on him, I mean, from straight horsepower, Morozov's going to win. No. Like 3 low hand top rolls back to back to back, and then the 4th one to finish it off. It wasn't even close. Lalatin murders Morozov in great fashion, and I'm just not surprised. But that's going to be my full post thoughts on the matches. I do apologize. I've been sniffing weirdly. My voice is a little bit cracked up. Like I mentioned, I'm sick. I apologize. My throat hurts. But I figured I would give my opinion. If you guys want to see more videos like this, but maybe if you want me to add in pictures, maybe do fight analysis videos. I know there's a lot of channels to do that. I can do it. I don't care too much for it, unless if you guys want to see it. But if there's anything I can do as of right now to improve the quality of my videos, or just something that's going to help or give you guys more entertainment, please let me know. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.